private sector. The moderator has given me a lead to the question I would like to ask. That is armed banditry continuing? And can we say, or do we have the will as a nation to contain it? I say this because as a practitioner in the private industry, I have seen armed banditry. And I'm so concerned that this country should do something to contain it, so as not to develop out of business. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Dr. Day was talking, he gave the historical dimension of insecurity, mentioned the civil war, ethnic conflict, and the rest. You omitted the government. The point at which the role they played in this, because it appears that our government is now an agent of conflict itself. By the level of insensitivity they show, when the government shows more responsibility, I'm sure that some of this problem will have been handled. The keynote speaker talked about early warning signal. We don't take early warning signal serious here. When we talk of Boko Haram, we can see how it started, snowballed into something serious. When the NSAS protest came up, the government started treating the symptoms, trying to clamp down on the people who were protesting, instead of handling the main problem. So I think that we must take the early warning signal seriously. These things will continue. And when we are talking about a joint responsibility, that it is everybody's responsibility, the government must take the lead, and then the people will follow. If this fails to happen, definitely we continue to have this problem. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Sonny. I represent the United States. My question goes to Dr. I want to agree with you but does negative peace worry you and your government?
Good afternoon. My name is Ambassador Charles, the Youth Ambassador of Anambra State. We are representing Youth Assembly of Nigeria and the Director of Emerging Leaders Forum in Anambra State. Now, it's not really a question, but some seconds contribution. And it's an early warning signal. And that early warning signal, as a youth, have come to observe some things going on in our different states. And that is when you look around, like when you go to ShopRite, or move down to Oka towards Peace Mass Transit, you find out that small kids are growing up and you cannot identify their parents. These kids are the people very soon will grow up to become worse than what we are happening today.
Thank you.
Dr. Olunathan, I'm a lecturer, a farmer, and also a member of the Traditional Rulers Council. In my community, I'm from Imo. We had it first. The issue I'm raising of the response of government to intelligence gathering. How do they make effective use of that? Talking from experience to how in our community, there was a report that an impending attack. No response until the attack was carried out, and government was interested in stopping response applied from the community. Thank you.
Hello, my area of community and area of research. In our communities, we need the community leaders, as Igwe is here, to look at management of resources, just as states look at management of resources to tackle security problems. Also, the research including at this stage of economic and social research. A lot needs to be done for good and sound research issues that will inform policies in areas of policing, in the area of security, and in the area of community and societal management. A lot needs to be done to inform policies so that the emotional, as the professor here indicated, the emotional approach may not take us very far. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Professor Sunday from Queen State University. I think the issue of banditry has become good business. Very good business because of unemployment. Youths are not employed. There is nothing for them to do. And they now come together. They now have discovered that they can come together and create wealth for themselves by way of what is happening, by way of this organized violence. They now, and when they kidnap people, when they get people to kidnapped, they know that they are going to make some money, and they negotiate. They know that they are going to make billions. They negotiate. So you give us 500 million. Okay, people say, okay, now please take 10, take 50, take this, take this. They now know what they are going for. And because it is this way, and because we appear not to have any immediate solution to this social problem of unemployment, social problem of people feeling marginalized, people not feeling that they are properly accommodated. Banditry is going to persist unless something is done very quickly. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Ono, retired public servant, currently resident of the United States. Now, my contribution is on the strategy on how to combat these threats and threats. I sincerely believe that if there is a challenge going all the community leaders, that the issues of this banditry will be covered, whereby the community chief, people will call me, if they can sincerely mark their own terrain, I definitely believe to cover all the politics and all the individuals of the community. This will actually because they are not living, they are not living in the community, they are not living in the community. We are not living in the community. Whereby people will come together, this is the voice and ask for one direction. It's not the
Thank you very much. But since you talked about the traditional rulers, it only makes sense that we shall look at the traditional ruler, the chairman of the Council of Traditional Rulers in Enugu State. Please step up. The online community will be next. We shall. They indicated they would want to, so we'll take them in just a moment. Igwe.
From all we have had, it seems that we Nigerians know that we have a serious problem with security in our country. The problem has been digested here, and everybody, even if you ask a small boy on the road, he will tell you that there is some insecurity around. Now, we should focus on what to do, because everybody knows the problem now. What do we do as a people? The executive director and the keynote speaker, they said that we cannot single-handedly solve the problem. And if it is so, it means we have to look at ways we can solve it. Maybe by asking some people outside Nigeria to help us. The Organization of African Unity, which existed, did not allow states to interfere in the internal affairs of other states. When the OAU was being transformed to African Union, that clause was removed to enable other African countries to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries to help them solve their problems, especially when human rights are involved. But we have a problem here in Africa. The big African countries, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Senegal, Algeria, Morocco, there's no way the smaller African countries can go there and help them solve their problem. While we can go to Sierra Leone or Liberia to solve their problem, Sierra Leone or Liberia cannot come here. So if we are too big and strong, but we are having problems, expecting solution to come from outside is very difficult. Now, what do? The solution to our problem lies in restructuring this country. If Nigeria is restructured and the states take responsibility, the governors are given the powers to be in charge of security in their states. One good result that will come out of it is that the whole country will not be in difficulty at the same time. So we must look in this direction to solve our insecurity problem. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Igwe. Thank you. Igwe, Ambassador Lawrence Kagobuzu is the chairman of the Council of Traditional Rulers in Enugu State. And now we shall invite the discussants and our keynote speaker to respond to some of these issues that have been raised. Since we have with us here Dr. Kingsley Ude, it's only proper that we ask him to start off. Dr. Ude, please.
Thank you very much for the contributions that were made to the keynote address and to discussion. Prof, you referred to government being part of the problem. Sure. And we had even highlighted the factors that trigger insecurity, including armed banditry, even in the presentation. Things related to sensitivity, lack of responsiveness, all right, inequality, injustice. Of course, we know that one of the main causes of secessionist agitation is feeling of not belonging, feeling of marginalization. All right, so we know, and we are not exonerating the government from it. The truth is that the government of Enugu State is known for its responsiveness, known for its sensitivity, known for its inclusiveness. We know that there may be still room for better responses to insecurity, but we are doing our bit to tackle it, and that is why we have the relative peace that we enjoy in the state. Not forgetting what the traditional ruler, Royal Father, mentioned about the need for restructuring, because you would acknowledge that security in a state, even though the governor is not the chief security officer of the state, the security architecture apparatus do not squarely lie within his command. We know that. Yet, the states of the Southeast, some other regions began to respond to this. We now have Forest Guard, and recently there was a declaration of intention which has begun to be actioned to have a Gubagu. So, and then in response to my brother that talked about, first, thank you for recognizing and acknowledging that we enjoy peace in Enugu. This relative peace. And then you mentioned whether we're not worried about negative peace. All right, the definition of negative peace is absence of violence, even if it is short term, and then positive peace, the long-term process of enduring and sustainable peace through a process dealing with the root causes of violence and agitation and insecurity. Of course, we are dealing with the present, we're also working on long term. Part of the long term is, of course, the Bubago. The long term is the forest guard, and we have legislation, all right, to support this. Part of the long term process is employment that we are trying within the limit of our resources. And I speak not as a politician, I speak as a citizen, I speak as an academic.
We are the Executive Director of the African Network for Peace Building, Dr. Chukwuemeka B. Eze, is our keynote speaker. He joins us again from Accra to respond to some of these issues and questions. Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze.
Thank you very much, Jika. I think I sympathize with my very good friend, Dr. Day. It's not the best of times for government, with regards to the kind of challenges, the myriad of security issues that we are facing. But let me be very clear, perhaps speaking more like a citizen, because whether you like it or not, even if you're speaking like a citizen, you're still a politician. No amount of state command of security apparatus, no amount of neighborhood watch, no amount of forest guard and a Bubago would deal with the existential problems that we have at our hand. And I'm being very honest about this. You see, hardcore security, and we have very good examples to give. Look at the Nordic countries. They have invested heavily on citizens' welfare. And they have often argued that the more investment, because there is a paradox of security, which is that which saves the states, that which makes the states secured, makes its citizens insecure. So if we like, we can import all the arms and ammunition on earth. The citizens would rather feel insecure. And that's the truth. Until there is a paradigm shift of what security is supposed to be, and we begin to look at human security rather than state security, we will continue to have some of these challenges. I therefore propose that whether at the state level or the federal level, that rather than think security as a Bubago, neighborhood watch, and more security outfits, let's think about security to mean the happiness of citizens. That's my number one departure from where you stopped. Number two is that we still have to realize that in the past, we have tried to save the states from those who wanted to topple government, to take over the command and control of government. Today, we are actually trying to save state from those who said we are no longer interested in your state. We want to have our own states. We want to have our own autonomy. So there is something wrong somewhere. When people are no longer having stake in that which they call their own, then it is a point that we need to have a rethink about our architecture. Also remember that in the past, whether it is Liberia or Sierra Leone, when these slaves were freed, there was a lot of enthusiasm. But today, the point remains that people want to go back to those places where they were enslaved, even through illegal means. They no longer are interested in their freedom. So it's also something that we must also articulate. We are today crying about unemployment. That's even not the danger. The danger is that in few years to come, we will be talking about unemployability. There may be jobs, but people may not even have the skills to do those jobs because people have invested in other areas other than skills, other than education, other than farming, and so on and so forth. So we have a problem at our hand. And believe you me, the gun will not be able to solve those problems.
Okay. Thank you very much. Dr. Chukwuemeka B. Eze is our keynote speaker. He is the Executive Director of African Network for Peace Building. He joined us from Accra, Ghana. Now on to the online community who have been indicating that they would want to contribute. Can we take your contributions now? If you indicate, we'll put you on.
Good afternoon, the host. My name is Engineer Abdullahi. My contribution is very simple. Now we are talking about the banditry and issues that happens with it here in the north. We also have lingering and systemic strategical issues that are happening to security in the southeast. For example, issues of IPOB and their ways that they are attacking institutions of government. And most of the leaders in the southeast have gone mute. They've not speaking out. They've not talked to those boys. They know those boys. When these issues happen, this is how Boko Haram started in the north. They attack institutions, attack police people. They create their own areas, demarcate territories, and begin to control. The same way these guys are doing in the southeast. And when it blows off, we will still go back to these issues of how we are going to be looking at citizen welfare. I think it is right time the government, the people of the southeast, because at the end of the day, we are all one. We all need to speak up and stand up against these criminals who wants to turn our states.
I'm afraid we have to interrupt you at this point. Can we keep it brief and to the point? You have all of 30 seconds to make your contribution. Question better. So thank you very much. Yes, let's take the second contributor from the online community. The next contribution, it's the Big Ideas Podium of the African Heritage Institution, and today's big idea is trends and dynamics of armed banditry. We've been trying to make sense of these problems.